part of like the second half, the darker half, the collective half of the year, and what part of you is something that you see in the collective might be a question that you can think about during this Mars and Libra transit. But also, so not only like what part of you is something you see in the collective, but how do you belong in the collective? Hello, good morning, and blessings to you. This is Molly. I am a practicing witch, and this is my astrology channel where I share all things astrology. I'm also working on some folklore stuff. It's going to be a mix of a lot of things, but I decided to call it Mercurial Vellum Astrology. So that's where we're at right now. So also, wow, there's been a lot going on. So we are going to talk about Mars in Libra today. It occurred on August 6th, 2025. And Mars will remain in Libra until September 22nd, 2025. And Mercury is now direct again, but it is still in the shadow period. So you could still have a lot of Mercury retrograde-esque things happening for a little bit longer. So anyways, back to Mars. So when Mars entered Libra on August 6th, it entered at 0 degrees, so we round it to 1. And if we look at the Sabian symbol for that, it is a butterfly made perfect by a dart through it. So we'll get more into that in a moment. But first, the first degree of Libra, and within it is Mars. So Mars is the planet of action, energy, courage, like physicality, aggression, willpower, making things come into existence, the doing of actions, and the manifesting of reality. So you have that character, that energy working in Libra. In Libra energy, Libra is this balancing, harmony loving sign. So Mars is also Mars rules Aries and Scorpio, but it is considered in detriment in Libra. So what that means is that it's not fully free. It's kind of stifled. It's not exactly free to express itself. It's kind of got a leash on, is how I see it. And what that can do is that can bring out some passive aggressiveness, that can bring out some backhanded compliments, or kind of frustrated, stifled energy, because Mars cannot be himself in Libra. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad place, like it's not necessarily a bad or bad result to have Mars in Libra, but it can have some of that kind of like repressed, like things bubbling under the surface and coming out in weird little passive aggressive ways, that kind of energy. Cause like one example is when Mars is in its favorite sign, like Aries, it can actually be pretty destructive and impulsive. It's not always the best or the most balanced results when Mars is in Aries or Scorpio, but when Mars is kind of forced to behave a little bit more and learn some etiquette and sit down at the dinner table with Libra, Mars can, I think that in Libra it gains some fondness for justice and even like altruism. I think it's more concerned with results and intentions than it is in other signs because of Libra. So I think it does have less selfishness when it's in Libra. It's more concerned with fairness. And then sometimes that can lead to the typical Libra pastime, really, of balancing things so that it's fair. So balance. And it can do that so much that it ends up kind of becoming paralyzed with indecisiveness. And that can be its weakness in this sign, besides the passive aggressiveness and the feeling stifled. It can be kind of stuck in an endless loop of decision making, like, well, there's this point, but then there's this point, and then there's this point, and it goes kind of back and forth. And that can drive not only everybody else around you crazy, but it can also drive that person crazy if they're under the influence of Mars in Libra, or if they have natal Mars in Libra as well. And how do I know this? I have natal Mars in Libra in the 5th house, so in my 5th house. So I am no stranger to this energy. It can be a very frustrating energy because you want to express your frustration and you kind of want to go scorched earth, but then there's like this system built into your brain or something of like speed bumps and like locks and chains that kind of force you to, like my first reaction in a lot of situations is to act how I think I should, not how I actually want to. And I believe fully that is a Mars and Libra influence. And then later on, I'm like ready to tear someone's throat out, and then I go do it. And sometimes that seems, I mean, not literally, but like sometimes that seems disingenuous or inauthentic to people. But it's just because there's a series of processes going on. It's not that you're not being authentic. It's just in the moment you have to process certain things. Oh, hi, baby. Come here. Smokey's here. So anyways, so there's that. I'm really used to this energy. It is very much a balancing energy. You just spend a lot of time balancing because you want to consider literally every single point of view involved and effect and standpoint, and you want to try on everyone's shoes. You want to walk a little bit in everyone's shoes. You want to play devil's advocate so much that you forget who the devil is and who you are. You just try on all of these standpoints, and you're almost like going in a merry-go-round of standpoints, and then it just kind of becomes ridiculous to a point. It doesn't help me personally with my natal placement. It's not exactly helped by the fact that I also have a Libra stellium, and I'm also Libra moon, and I'm also Libra Venus, and I have other planets in Libra. So I have a lot of Libra in my birth chart. So when these transits come, it's there's a lot of moments that I sense where there's a lot of decision making that feels extra karmic and timely because of the transit. So anyways, where was I? So, this is an interesting point I really want to talk about. So, when Mars is in Libra, it is more legalistic, but it is also concerned with image and how things look. And a lot of people do accuse Libra energy of being superficial and surface and all about image and things like that. And I always ironically think that's kind of a shallow way of looking at it, because not just because I have so much Libra, but because I think it's a lot. I just think it's a lot deeper than that. I don't think it's for shallow purposes. I think Libra being associated with beauty and justice is a very important connection to make, because harmony is achieved. Harmony is a lot of times what we consider beautiful. So something is beautiful because there's harmony within its elements or units that make it up. It also has to do with principles and morals and values. So I think of beauty ultimately as being representative of higher ideals and principles, and about balance and harmony. And I am not necessarily talking about current beauty standards. I'm literally in my mind, I'm thinking like Greek classical sculpture. Like, I'm not thinking about like Instagram stuff. I'm thinking about what the world considered beautiful until fairly recently. So when we say something is beautiful, it's when it's balanced and when the pieces that make it up are in some sort of harmony that's pleasing to us and calm. It has a physical effect, a calming effect on our brains and our psyches. If something is imbalanced or jarring in some way or unharmonious, we do not associate that with beauty. It's got the opposite effect. So that is part of why Libra is associated with beauty. There's a balancing effect going on. It's doing this scale balancing, not just in decision making, but in all things. It's balancing energies. It's kind of like turning from, it's also, the time of the year that's flipping to the darker part of the year. So that is something that I wanted to talk about, was that part of Libra. And then I also wanted to mention that when Mars is in Libra, Libra kind of coaxes Mars into turning it down a few notches basically, and bringing its best manners to the dinner table is how I look at it. So that can result in Mars becoming frustrated, not feeling like he's truly expressing himself, and he may even get a little bored in this environment. He usually wants some kind of action. He even like some sweat and some blood. And Libra is like this classy, aesthetic, well-mannered energy that is concerned with harmony and everyone being fairly treated and doesn't like conflict. So the combination can bring us some balancing acts within relationships. It can bring a lot of moments of strategizing with reviewing options, choosing paths, and weighing different points of views or paths. It also has a lot to do with bringing justice to things that may have been imbalanced or not finished up before. So things needing attention and calibrating, like calibrating the scales. So bringing harmony to partnerships and conflicts. And it can be a good peacemaking time as long as Mars keeps the passive aggressive comments to himself and he doesn't get too frustrated being in this I kind of think of Beauty and the Beast, like Mars is like the beast and Libra is like the beauty, and he's like going to dinner and sitting next to her and she's like this beautiful, intelligent, graceful, harmonious, balanced person, and he's this beast that's like being stuffed into a suit and being made to sit at a dinner table and be polite. That's kind of how I see the energies. And you may notice there is a lot of peacemaking deals on the table right now regarding various countries. It's a topic that's being talked about a lot right now. Libra in the first degree, where this does happen, it does represent the first step towards the dark half of the year. And so Libra through Pisces is the dark half of the year, the wheel of the year. So Libra does represent a sort of what they call a liminal period of time. It means basically like a space in between, a space of transition. And it's definitely, I know we're not in Libra season yet, we're actually almost in Virgo season, but when Mars is in Libra, it is still calling on that energy, the more collective oriented, greater good and darker half of the year. So it's less about the individual that Mars maybe tended to more be oriented towards, and kind of turning its energy more towards good results, more results that are more positive for the group, for people, for not just for the self. So that's something I also wanted to mention. So we are getting closer though. So the hotter days are definitely starting to cool down a little bit. It's still ridiculous, so it's still way too hot, but the sun's setting a little bit earlier every day. We can sometimes taste that little bit of crispness and coolness in the air. We're getting closer to Virgo season. And oh yes, and going back to the Sabian symbol for this, the butterfly. So the butterfly is beauty and harmony and balance. I mean, think of how a butterfly looks. It's this perfect, like, gorgeous creation of balance and beauty and lightness and air, which is a Libra. Libra is an air sign. So Libra is beauty and balance. So Libra being displayed as a whole specimen, and it's being displayed as a representative of its kind. So what is it being displayed as? So it's being displayed as something representative of beauty and standards, basically. It's being representative of its type, of its species. It's like serving as a mold of what it is. And it's being held up as an example. Okay, so think about that. Mars in Libra is focused on finding standards and balance and holding it up, even as a precedent. Like, you could even think of legal judgments, but as if to say, here's the standard, you know, it's right here. It's the mold for all that will follows. So it's the example. And then going even deeper than that, what is another word for that? It's kind of an archetype. So this to me does call on the energy of Mars and Libra, because it gets you to think about what archetypes you call upon in your life. Archetypes are definitely the part of like the second half, the darker half, the collective half of the year. And what part of you is something that you see in the collective might be a question that you can think about during this Mars and Libra transit. But also, so not only like what part of you is something you see in the collective, but how do you belong in the collective? Do you feel like there's a place for you, or do you feel like you're not part of it? And to zoom out a little bit more, Mars in Libra is part of this grand air trine. It's Uranus and Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. So we've got this transformative power of Pluto in Aquarius, and then we've got this innovative, genius, electric, visionary, brilliant, and mental energy through Uranus and Gemini. So all of that harmoniously trining with Mars in being in Libra. So they're all lending their powers to Mars at this time. So it's part of like a bigger accumulative energy for sure. It's like a 3-legged table. It's like each piece is very important in this energy that's kind of cycling through it. It's the accumulative energy of the grand air trine. It's definitely it's just a huge time of initiating huge transformations, really positive energy, positive changes on every level in the world, in our lives. And I mean, like huge transformations. It's so potent of an energy. So definitely do not ignore it and use what you can for the best intentions, because Mars, when it's filtered through that Libra energy, it's definitely, intentions do matter with that setup. And decision making, of course. Decision making is this massive part of everyone's experience right now. Lots of big decisions being made at every level, lots of calls to action in every area of the world, your very own life, the micro level. So as we experience Mars and Libra throughout the next several weeks, the journey that you're going to go through will likely involve lots of decision-making skills, moments of forks in the road, and they will feel extremely karmic for many people. They already have for me since in the last week. It's been like, wow, massive forks in the road, massive karmic moments where I can tell this is like extremely fated things that are happening. And then there's some balancing acts too along the way, refining the process by which we look at all sides of situations and how fair are we. And then how, I think it also lends to how we extend empathy to through fairness and justice. So, and that's to everybody. That's to like just our fellow earthlings. That's like humans or animals or any type of life, really. So some empathy will be waking up in some people. I believe I've already seen a lot of it. And people that are not used to that, and it's a very good thing. I mean, Libra is a very emotional, not emotional, it's conflict averse. So it's very conscious of pleasant emotions and experiences. So to finish up the topic today, so I'm going to do a mini oracle reading for you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and I'm not sure what video I'm going to do next, but I might focus on the eclipse that we're having that's coming up, even though you probably already know everything there is to know about it, but I have my way of rambling even if there's nothing useful I can really add, but I'll try to think of something that I have something to actually say about. So, and here is your oracle reading. You have a great rest of your week. Bye.